Welcome back to another episode of the UIS Coaches Show. I'm Michael Iota, here with Head Coach Olivia Lett. As always, Coach Lett, thanks again for joining us. We appreciate your time as always.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're into February now in the GLVC season. Another tough road trip for the Stars happened last weekend, a trip to St. Louis, and then new GLVC member Lincoln and Jefferson City. Stars got away with a split, an impressive road split, given that the current scenario, get on the road is tough in the GLVC. Coach, let's talk about these two games, a 49-48 loss at UMSL, which was a real tough one, and then a good win at Lincoln. But let's talk about that UMSL game first. First things that jump out at me was I was shocked by the score. A 49-48 loss. This was two teams that played an 87-67 game just 2 months before. So let's dive into that first. Did you feel like that game had the possibilities of being in the high 40s?
I don't know that I ever feel comfortable when the game's in the 40s. But obviously, I feel like our chances of winning go up if we can hold the other team in the 40s. I do think that we've improved a lot defensively since the beginning of the year, and that game was really a grinded-out game.
Yeah.
Neither team shot super well. It was trying to make adjustments and figure out how we can get offensive possessions. And we struggled a little bit. We went zone, and we struggled to generate our offense out of the defense. We were getting stops, but we really weren't getting those transition pushes. And so then we went back to man, and we were able to get our offense going a little bit there in the third quarter. And I think that kind of propelled us to at least have a chance in the game.
Yeah, you always talk about your offense needs to be predicated on your defense creating some of that offense for you. It's incredible. You say, like, we've gotten so much better. Watching that game against UMSL here and then watching this game down in St. Louis, it's incredible how much better your team has gotten better in the progressions that you've made. Have you seen that? Did you see that after the game? I know, you lose a tough game, but did you kind of look back and say, wow, we've made some great steps?
Yeah, I thought that UMSL did some really good things offensively against us that gave our man defense trouble. And that was one of the things in the first quarter that we had to go zone. We couldn't stop them. And so we were able to make that adjustment of going zone. And I do think our zone has gotten better since the beginning of the year, just watching some of the games getting ready for this week too. I can see that. And so it was good for us to be able to go zone to give us kind of a switch. And then we went back man, and we were able to sustain it long enough that we could get some of those stops that we needed that turned into buckets. It still wasn't perfect, and like I said, they did a great job of attacking a few things that are weaknesses for us. And I think that just being able to even do it for some possessions and knowing that it wasn't perfect, that's somewhere that we've grown this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about this game. This one got down to the wire too, right? I mean, you guys did a good job. I think 6-7 minutes to go. It kind of seemed like UMSL went into a little bit of a shell. They kind of went into not really attacking as much in that game, kind of just trying to almost play it out a little bit, and you guys took advantage of it, right? Sahara and Kayla really got in defensively. We got in a position down one. I talked to you a little bit after the game. I thought you ran just an unbelievable set with 2 seconds to go to try to get that layup, which didn't go. Tell us a little bit about that set, how you drew it up. Was that a back pocket play, or was that something you just kind of noticed how they were defending inbounds?
I do like the action that we ran coming off of the sideline out of bounds, especially late. A lot of times I feel like late in the game you're looking for a three, and so you don't get to use sets like that very often. Kayla's one of those people that if we can get her on the run, it's really hard for anybody to stop her.
Yeah.
And so it was using that mentality, and then we had Dee Dee as an option as well, and she had played well down the stretch for us. I thought that was one of her more composed games, and then she turned around and played really well on Saturday as well. And I think so she's starting to get back to being that player that she was, and we knew we really wanted the ball in one of their hands. And Emory made a great inbounds pass. We had kind of talked about the fact that at UIndy we had made maybe a mistake on the inbounds pass, passing it towards their basket, and she made a great pass. Without that, we don't even get the look. And so I think understanding that 2.9 is actually a lot of time, and being able to make sure that we get a really, really good look out of that, take our time on the shot. And I think that coming out of that, the message was, okay, we've got to use this. So we got to use this moving forward. How do we make sure that we prepare for Saturday's game coming off this? Like, there's a million things that went wrong in 39 minutes and 30 seconds. And it's not all about that last 5 seconds. It's about what happened for the other 39 minutes of the game. Where could we have found one more point anywhere else in that game? And using that to make sure then we're ready to go for Saturday.
Yeah, and it seems like you did. You got a good win on Saturday down in Jefferson City playing Lincoln. Well, you talked about going to a visiting place and like what are all the ingredients for a tough road game, right? Small gym, right? Band playing, music, everything, noise, hard rims. They had it all there. That's a tough place to play. But you guys, again, another game that was high 50s, low 40s type game, another style. This one, your team was able to find and grit out a really good road win.
Yeah, their team is scrappy, and we knew that going in. That was kind of the scouting report on them was, yeah, they didn't have a ton of wins, but they're going to try to scrap it out, and they did. And they rammed it right down our throats on offense, and they were defensively, like, they just kind of gave us trouble, slowed down the pace. It wasn't the pace of game that really we wanted to play at. When we did get stops, we weren't able to transition straight into offense, and so they did a lot of things that gave us trouble, and then they shot the three well. We went zone for a while, and they had some kids step up and knock down some shots, and so it was a gutsy win. We figured it out. I thought Nia Udaiwood, who has not necessarily played amazing for us on Saturdays, was really, really locked in, and she did a really good job in the zone, just understanding where shooters were, bumping off of them. Alicia had another big game for her, and Dee Dee stepped up big. That was one of her higher scoring ones since she's been injured, and so to see her get some of that confidence was good.
Yeah, and how about that backdoor pass, McDaniel to Udaiwood, which was an absolute beauty. That one kind of sticks out in that game, but that was a great win for you guys going forward. Getting a split on the road is always good when you go into GLVC, as you're finding out right now. Let's look ahead real quick. McKendree come in here on Thursday night. This was a team we went down to Lebanon and played. Interesting game last time because this was a team that really blitzed us in the first quarter. I think they were up 21.
Yeah, I know they scored in the 30s. I know.
Yeah, I think if I'm right, it's 32-11. But we lost that game by 10 overall. So the last three quarters of that game, we really did a lot of good things. It was really just that first quarter. So you've got to be a little bit excited about this matchup again if you can make some adjustments, get off to a better start, because it seems like there was a lot of things that were working against McKendree that maybe we can build on and take into Thursday night's game.
Yeah, we haven't had very many second times of playing people yet. And I think for me that's a big deal because now I at least know who the players are on the other team. And I think there's a confidence that comes with knowing who they are and a little bit more of what they're going to do, as opposed to watching it on film is just completely different. And so being able to see them in person, I thought in that game that was one of our first games where our defense really started to figure out what it was supposed to look like. That being said, we went zone early on, and our zone was a mess. It was not good, and they got it into spots that were just tough for us. But at that point in time, we were trying to run anything that we could to slow people down. And so I do think we understand a little bit more where the top of our zone is supposed to be, where the bottom is supposed to be, what we're supposed to give up, what we're not supposed to give up. And so I'm interested to see really what we do defensively. I don't know yet if we're going to go mostly man, mostly zone, or being able to use both of those. I think they're both better since that point in time in the season.
And you're a little healthier too. I think your numbers were a little bit down there where you were still trying to get over some injuries there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this team, that's the most thing I'm looking forward to with this team in this 3-game homestand that we have coming out with Maryville and Indy in the next 2 weeks, is watching all these second-round games of first-round games and seeing our progression of where it comes from. So that's always be interesting and something that we're going to keep an eye on because we saw it against Umsel, and hopefully we'll see it again against McKendree and get a W. Let's change gears a little bit off the court. Today, obviously, National Girls and Women's in Sports Day. Obviously, being a head coach here at the college level in women's sports, what does that day mean to you? Why is this a special day?
I think it's exciting. It's exciting to just have another reason to get girls into the gym too. Obviously with the Caitlin Clark explosion in the last couple of years, that has really turned women's sports eyes towards women's basketball, and I think has been really the focal point. And so it's fun to be a part of that sport that is a little bit more the focal point. And I think that it's easy to forget that not that long ago there weren't as many opportunities, and that you didn't have somebody to look up to that looked exactly like you. A lot of times it was looking up to male athletes, and even when I was a player, growing up, you didn't have that out there for other people to see. And so it's cool for girls to come to the gym and be able to see our players, but also be comparing them to WNBA players because they're actually watching them on TV. And that's something that I think is really fun to be a part of.
Yeah, it's one of those impacts with superstars that you don't really see, right? You know how good they are and everything, but the impact they have with people getting into a sport that they may not have just because of their impact is huge. So having somebody like Caitlin Clark is huge from that. We've seen it, in a sport like golf with like Tiger Woods, right? Getting people into a spot where they need to be, where they get those opportunities and chances. So it's fantastic to have that. The other part, February 7th. We talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago, but let's talk about it again. You've got a special thing that's really close to you and something that you want to talk a little bit about, and hopefully we can get some more people signed up over in Decatur.
Yeah, Night to Shine at GT Church in Decatur. You can sign up through First Christian. You can sign up through GT Church, both online. We're looking for buddies still, and so it is a prom for people with special needs. And as a buddy, you just kind of hang out with that person for the night. And at the end of the night, you get to crown them king or queen, which is like the best part of the night. And the smiles and the excitement, it truly is one of the most fulfilling things that I've been a part of. And so we've got a couple players that are going over, a couple of my former players from Milliken are going as well, and it's just a night that, as long as it is, as tiring as it is, you walk out of there and you're just full of energy because of just the buzz that's around it. And so, like I said, we're still looking for volunteers as buddies, and so you can sign up for that online through GT Church or through First Christian Church of Decatur.
Yeah, and also we're going to have that sign up come out here with UIS in the next couple of days, and especially we'll be talking about that a lot in tomorrow night's game as well, because great cause. So if you do and you have some time, please get out. Also, please get out tomorrow night. McKendree, 5:30, another big rivalry game. It's always good to beat McKendree and get that loss back from earlier this year. So for the UIS Coaches Show, this has been Michael Iota.